Now it's time to add the stairs to the front porch area. In order to do that, I'm going to zoom in here to the front porch, and we're going to have a staircase that comes up, goes onto the front porch here, and comes up and goes onto the front porch here. In order to accomplish this, I'm going to come up to our stair command. I'm going to verify that we are using an exterior staircase, and then we need to tell it what level do we need it to go from, so from grade, up to what level, which is going to be up to the top of our porch area. In order to accomplish this, we need to change the base level, which is going to be the bottom of the staircase. In this case, it's going to be a little bit of a strange level, and I'm going to choose this one that's called basement ceiling. The reason why I'm choosing that is it's the one that's actually closest to our grade level in the front elevation view, so it's just going to work out nice for us. Next, I'm going to come over here to the top level, and this is going to be the same as what our porch was. So this is going to be first floor, and then give it a negative 4-inch offset value. You want the top of the stairs to come up to be flush with the top of your porch. I'm going to come in here, and I don't have an exact spot, but roughly right in the middle between this column and this column here. When this line here, which is the front of your deck, ends up turning to be a blue line, you know that you're in the right general location. So come to right about there, click, and move in this direction, and click again. One thing that I'm looking at here is this looks like it might be a little bit too narrow, but we can always adjust this after the fact. So just come up here to the big green check mark and click on the big green check mark. You know, I really would like to see these railings come up and be just about here and just about here, so almost in the center of these columns. In order to do that, my stairs are obviously going to need to get wider. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to change the width of my staircase to be 6 feet, and click on Apply. So by just changing that underneath Properties, we're able to get the staircase to adjust even after the fact. Also, if we look at this down arrow right here, it's going toward the deck, and that's not what we want to have occur. I'm going to click on this arrow so that it's now coming away from the deck, because that's where you want your stairs to go. You want your stairs to be able to walk down away from your deck, your porch, and not toward it, which would have you going underneath the porch, which wouldn't be a good thing. Now we need to adjust these rails so they tie into the columns. So select there on the rail, click on Edit Path, and just like we were working with our rails earlier and tying them into our columns, we're going to do the same thing here. So select on your rail, click on the little blue dot, and just pull it to about the midpoint between this line and this line here. It'll die right into your column if you do that. Click the big green check mark, do the same thing over here. Edit the path, pick the line, pick the circle, drag it up to the midpoint between those two lines, let go, big green check mark, and then we can take a look at this in a 3D view. I'll go ahead and spin this around, and there we have the stairs coming up and the railings dying in their proper locations right underneath those columns. Now let's go ahead and draw a second staircase coming off the end here, much like this first one. Going back into the first floor plan, we're going to zoom out and zoom over to this area here. Going to come up to our stairs, make sure that you're doing a run stair with this line tool activated. An oddity about this is that it always tends to reset the stairs. There are certain commands in Revit that it always likes to reset, and for whatever reason, the stair command, it does it a lot for. So we need to turn this back to its original properties, which is going to be basement ceiling, first floor, -4 inches, and -4 inches. From here, let's start the staircase down here, trying to keep it a little bit away from the building. Sometimes if you get it close to the building, the railings don't always like to get developed properly. So we're going to try to keep it down just a little bit away from the building. When you're lined up and it has that blue line showing up there, go ahead and click and move over in this direction. Once you get it to where it says 0 remaining, you can go ahead and click to that, and then click the big green check mark up here. While it's still highlighted blue, you can see that there's this line here, which is an arrow pointing toward the deck. What I mentioned down here is that's not a good thing, because if I have it in this condition, it means it's going to try to have the stairs going underneath our front porch area here, which is what we don't want. So click on this little arrow in order to flip it to the other side. Now we're going to be able to walk off here and walk right down our steps, down onto the ground. One final thing, I'm going to be able to move this up just a touch so that it's up to this area right here. So once you get it to right about there, and we can see that this is going to come in pretty close to the center of this column, you can click on that rail, click on Edit Path, and then pull this up just like we did the other rails, and click on the big green check mark to that. Now, if we look at this in the 3D view, we can then, if we need to spin the building around a little bit to see it, we can, but we can zoom in here, and we can see that we have our nice decorative front porch steps leading up to our front porch.